A bullet of mass 0.05 kilogram is fired with a speed of 20 meters per second into a steel block of mass 0.95 kilogram at rest. If the steel block moves after impact, determine its kinetic energy and the energy lost after impact. Now, this is a question on collision. So I'd like us to write out the given parameters first. Now, what are we given in the question? We are given the mass of the bullet. I'll take that as the first mass, M1. And that is equals to 0.05 kilogram. And then we are given its speed. So that is its initial speed before the impact. And that will be U1. Initial speed U1 is equal to 20 meters per second. And then we are also given the mass of the steel block which the bullet is fired into. Fired into means the bullet will enter inside the steel block, so that the mass of the steel block can be represented as M2, and that is equal to 0.95 kilogram. And then we are told that the steel block is at rest. Take note of this point. It is at rest. What that means is that its initial velocity, which is U2, is equal to 0. So that is its initial velocity, and that is 0. So the first thing we have to calculate here is the final velocity with which the two of them move together after the bullet is shot into the steel. Don't forget, the bullet is shot into the steel. So the bullet and the steel together will move with a common velocity v. And that is what we have to calculate first. That will now help us to find the energy after collision and also the energy lost in the process. So now let's use the formula, that is the collision formula, that M1 U1 plus M2 U2 is equal to the final velocity multiplied by M1 plus M2. This is a case where the two of them move together with a common velocity after the impact. So the first mass there is 0.05 multiplied by its initial velocity, which is 20. Hope you are seeing the values there. So the initial velocity is 20. That is for the bullet now. And then plus that of the steel block, which is M2, 0.95, multiplied by U2, which is the initial velocity of the steel block. Because it is at rest, U2 is 0. And that will be equal to the final velocity that we are looking for, all multiplied by the M1, which is 0.05, plus M2, which is 0.95. So we can simplify further so that we'll get the value of V. So 0.05 multiplied by 20 will give us 1. And then plus this multiplied by 0 is 0. And that is equal to 0.095 plus 0.05 plus 0.95 will give us 1. So 1 multiplied by V, and then we have 1V, which is entered as V. So by the time we divide both sides by 1, don't forget this 0 means nothing. So I can say 1 now, or I can write 1V is entered as V. 1V is entered as V, and that is equal to 1 plus 0 is 1. So that means the final velocity after the impact is 1 meter per second. That is the velocity of the block and the bullet after the impact. Now we're asked to find that is the block's kinetic energy. Don't forget that is what the question asks us to find first. Determine its kinetic energy. So as the block moves along together with the with the bullet, the formula for that will be half m. That is, let me call it Ke now. Ke will be equal to half mv squared. So that will be equal to 1/2 multiplied by the mass. Now, don't forget, it is the steel and the block. 0.05 plus 0.95. It is the steel and the block together. So you add the two masses. So M has to be the mass of the block and the bullet. Sorry, the block, not steel, I mean the bullet and the steel block. So it has to be the two masses because they are moving together, because the bullet is shot into the steel block. So the two of them are together, moving together. So the total mass will be the addition of their masses. And then multiply by v squared. Don't forget, their velocity after impact is 1. So I simply say 1 square. So that will be equal to 1/2 multiplied by 0.05 plus 0.95 will give us 1. And then multiply by 1 square is 1. So by the time we say 1 multiplied by 1 divided by 2, we are going to get its kinetic energy now as they move together. So the kinetic energy of the block will be 0.5 joules. When we multiply 1 times 1 times 1 divided by 2 to give us 0.5 joules. And this is the value for the kinetic energy of the block. Now the question says we should find the lost energy, the energy lost in the process too. That is something that the question also asks us, that we should find the energy lost. So for us to find the energy lost, we need to first of all calculate the total energy before impact. So the total energy before impact is the energy of the bullet, because don't forget, the energy of the block is 0 because the block was at rest. So the block was at rest. So the initial energy of the block was 0. So we have to only find the energy of the bullet. If the block was moving, we would have looked for the energy of the moving block too, and also the moving bullet, and add them together. But since that of the block is 0 because the block was at rest, here we only need to calculate the initial energy as the energy of the moving bullet. So now let's calculate that energy of the moving bullet so that we can get the lost energy. So the kinetic energy now of the moving bullet is equal to half multiplied by the mass of the bullet is 0.05, and then multiply by v squared. Don't forget, it is half mv squared. So the speed of the bullet is 20 squared. The bullet was moving initially at 20 meters per second. So we say v squared. Don't forget, the formula for kinetic energy is half mv squared. So that is what we are using for the bullet. Half multiplied by the mass of the bullet times the speed of the bullet square. So that will give us the kinetic energy. By the time we simplify this, we are going to get the kinetic energy of the bullet as 10 joules. As 10 joules. So finally, we can get the energy lost in the process now. So we say energy lost. The energy lost in the process will be equal to the total initial energy, which is 10 joules, minus the energy after collision, after impact, and that is 0.5 minus 0.5. And from there, we can get the total energy loss. 10 minus 0.5 is 9.5 joules. So this is the energy lost by the collision process. Hope you got it fully. Please don't forget to like, share, and join for more videos like this. Thank you for watching.